We have seen so far how we got where we are today. What challenges do we face now, and what kind of solutions do we need to address them in a coherent and comprehensive manner? We must create a sustainable society, resilient to internal and external shocks, and capable to regenerate itself as its human and natural environments continuously change. Sustainability means to live in a society that can perpetuate itself at the same or higher levels of well-being for all its members. It addresses the economic, social, cultural, and environmental aspects of our lives. We will focus on this topic in the next episode. What means must we employ to become a sustainable society? We have at our disposal 4 ways to unite our efforts in order to build the institutions we need to do so: military, political, economic, and ideological. According to British sociologist Michael Mann, these networks have their own life cycles. They come together or crystallize in particular types of systems of governance, according to Ibn Khaldun's theory of institutional evolution: a creative or entrepreneurship stage, a stable or consolidating stage, and a decaying or crisis stage. They then disconnect and begin a new process of crystallization. Each secular age is characterized by a unique crystallization of these 4 networks of power. Today, the old crystallization that of the territorially defined sovereign nation state is coming apart at the seams. We must actively reflect on how to recombine these 4 networks into a new system of governance that can deal with the risks we face now and that will allow us to build a regenerated, resilient, sustainable society. This is the fundamental institutional challenge we face today. We will address this issue after discussing sustainability. I will want to focus now on the 4 perspectives we need to consider when we address the 4 aspects of the sustainable world we want to create and the 4 networks of power that will help us get there: the individual, social group, systemic, and ecosystem levels. Each of them raises a fundamental question about each aspect of the means and ends I mentioned. What roles must we play as individuals? What are the defining values we wish to uphold as a society? What institutional structures do we need in order to take action in accordance with the values and roles we have defined? What is the nature of the environment we are part of as we act in each of these fields? The Connexity Matrix combines these issues and questions. It will help us visualize the answers we seek regarding both the ends we wish to achieve and the means we must employ along the way in order to get there. Today we are all being empowered by unprecedented technological progress in real and virtual connectivity, mobile communications, free access to information, social organization tools, accessible and rapid means of global travel. We see the emergence for the very first time in history of a truly global civil society, from the bottom up and not only at the top, among elites. And this idea is based on what Spanish sociologist Manuel Castells calls a decentered power of networks. Until now, institutional structures such as our current nation states have evolved along a pattern defined by moments of crystallization, stability, challenge, crisis, then violent transformation. The new paradigm, in order to be sustainable, must not aim to do away with conflict, for conflict is the most effective way to foster innovation and change, but to harness it in a positive, non-violent manner. It must integrate conflict at the heart of a dynamic, learning, cooperative paradigm, capable of evolution and change, brought about internally through its own institutions rather than externally through violence and destruction. This is the emergent nexus of the era of sustainability, where peaceful cooperation and conflict are part of the same dynamics of the society we live in and can help us implement radical change in the age of the unthinkable. Joshua Cooper Ramo argues that we need to create a deep security environment, capable of learning how to use and adapt to chaos in order to become a complex, adaptive, resilient system. We have to stop living in a Cartesian world of simple causalities, where we think we can calculate and predict our world with certainty based on existing data. Instead, we must get used to living in a world where our future is uncertain and unpredictable, but where we can build the necessary institutions that will ensure our system of governance and our societies are resilient enough to withstand any shocks, even those we cannot foresee or imagine. As Ramo explains, this requires a revolutionary approach to world order based on relentless innovation and institutional experimentation, resulting in new, radical, and inventive approaches to governance. A global institutional structure harnessing the power of networks has it within its reach to achieve this goal. This deep security emerging nexus leads us to the next three questions. First, what does this mean for us as individual actors? Our roles as citizens have been devalued from autonomous citizen legislators to dependent denizen subjects who follow the vision of superstar leaders acting in what they consider to be the state's best interests. A deep divide has been created between leaders and followers, citizens and legislators, individual and state interests. The very meaning of citizen has been hollowed out of its most important function, deliberative, continuous decision-making powers. It is imperative that we reverse this trend by defining a set of universal civic rights and responsibilities for both individual and social groups based on the key principles of absolute inclusion, deep diversity, and the power of the best argument. These can be summed up by the notion of participativity, which holds that common social challenges are solved in the most effective, efficient, sustainable, and legitimate manner by the individuals and groups directly affected by them. We must deal ourselves with the problems directly affecting us in our neighborhoods, communities, cities, and regions. Engage in balanced discussions and debates, and let the best arguments win. Then, we must act together to jointly solve these problems. Second, what fundamental values do we need to uphold as a society? The moral foundations of the 21st century must equal worth and dignity of every single individual around the globe. Most democratic countries have enshrined a version of this principle in their constitutions, but extend it in full only to their citizens. Affirming our cosmopolitan solidarity requires us to engage in 5 key processes of change. First, we must build on the emergence of global civic society to develop a cosmopolitan individual consciousness based on the universal right to equal dignity for all and its corresponding duty of active participation in shaping our own lives. Second, we must assist in the creation of a system of global governance endowed with the necessary organizational capacity to deliver results. Third, we must ensure that the system is reflexive and legitimate by staying true to its principles of absolute inclusion, deep diversity, and the power of the best argument. Fourth, we must tackle specific projects and bring them to a successful completion so as to demonstrate the new system's capacity to meet its objectives. And fifth, we must widen and deepen the reach of the global civil society and of the new system of global governance by taking advantage of emerging challenges and opportunities. Widening means here extending the arc of caring from national to global levels, while deepening entails perfecting its application within each national community. Third, what are the human and natural constraints that environment imposes on us today? For the first time in history, more than half the world's population lives in cities. We are witnessing the emergence of a global archipelago economy, joining the largest metropolises in the world. They are connected economically, politically, and culturally by a dense web of media, information, communication, and transportation networks. This is where the world's elites live and where the greatest part of global wealth and opportunities are concentrated. They have become the key nodes of power of the 21st century world and are attracting increasing numbers of people, not only citizens of the same country, but immigrants and refugees from across the world. In order to be sustainable, these cities need to invest a significant amount of resources in urban planning, new infrastructure, green energy, high-quality education, healthcare, and social security systems. Yet most of them are ill-equipped to deal with such influxes of population and to provide the infrastructure and opportunities their citizens require. To sum up, cities constitute for us the most important level of governance, with the greatest impact on our daily lives. They must be given the resources to address the challenges they face much more effectively than they can do today. This means direct participation rights for all, reducing environmental footprints, increasing economic competitiveness, promoting cultural diversity, and creating a common civic identity in which all communities and individuals take pride and share in. Empowering creative cities where all citizens are included in the decision-making process and have equal rights and responsibilities is the great challenge of our human and natural environment. This will only be achieved by a recrystallization of networks of connectivity and power, away from the hierarchical mechanistic model of the nation-state and towards more organic, flexible, diverse, decentered systems of global governance.